So why Canada, and why are you here specifically in Canada? I know US has one of the biggest economies. So what made you to move to Canada?
I would say one of the reasons why I moved here is because, number one, I kept hearing all these good things
Yeah,
about Canada.
right. I'm gonna put you on the spot. US or Canada? Kenya or Ghana?
That's a tough one.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the nursing itself in Canada and some of the opportunities, if anyone is watching, whether from back home? What are some of the opportunities in nursing currently?
There are still tons of opportunities for people who are looking to join the field.
The field.
I would say you will not go wrong.
Wow.
Just jump into it, do it, and you're not going to go wrong with nursing.
Nursing. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Stand up for the
Yeah, hello everyone, and once again, welcome to presenting Canada to the world. And today we have our sister Dorcas, and we're gonna be talking about healthcare in Canada, specifically in the nursing stream. And this is one of the most requested interviews that I've got. So here you have it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have any question, you can always message me and I'll pass it on to Sister Dorcas. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have our sister Dorcas here, who is actually a nurse in Canada, and we're gonna do a quick interview to interview her to talk about her career and also her background. So Dorcas, without any further delay, would you like to tell the audience where you are originally from and your career so far?
Yeah, so my name is Dorcas. I am originally from Kenya, East Africa, and I'm a registered nurse by profession.
You want to wait your voice go up?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a registered nurse by profession. Yeah, and that's what I do here in Canada.
You do in Canada. Okay.
Yes.
Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself in growing up in Kenya and how it was, and what was the transformation for you to move to Canada or even other places?
Yeah, so growing up in Kenya, I'm from a humble background. So my parents worked as civil servants. My mom was a teacher. My dad worked with the Kenyan government, not making too much money, but just enough to raise us children.
Right.
So I wouldn't say I had a badly off life, but again, we were not rich. And so for me, my parents always emphasized studying hard, making it in life, and I put an effort right when I started primary school. I worked really hard. Got good grades all the way up to secondary school.
Right.
And that's how, I got scholarships actually when I applied to study abroad. I realized I could use the scholarship system. Right. And I remember applying to one university in the US.
Oh, so you didn't come to Canada first?
No.
Okay.
I went to the US first. I applied to this college and I got accepted, but the tuition was so much.
Right.
I couldn't afford it. Applied for a scholarship, but unfortunately, I didn't get it. And I kept trying, until I somehow find my way to the US.
Okay.
And ended up studying at Howard University.
Okay.
It's all-black school in Washington, D.C. I had a little bit of money to start off with when I got to college. And then I worked really hard because I knew I didn't have extra money in the pocket to pay for. So I worked really hard and made sure I got very good grades.
Right.
And I was able to qualify for scholarship. And that took me throughout my whole entire 4 years, just being awarded scholarship because of my hard work.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and graduated and became a nurse after that.
So why Canada, and why are you here specifically in Canada? I know US has one of the biggest economies. So what made you to move to Canada?
I would say one of the reasons why I moved here is because, number one, I kept hearing all these good things about Canada.
Right.
Just like a lot of people here out there, Canada is this, Canada is that. Didn't really know much about the country because I hadn't been here and really didn't bother doing a whole lot of research.
Right.
And two, I kind of wanted to move out of the US because of my children as well.
Right.
And the US was starting to become a little bit hostile in terms of, gun laws and all that. And I wanted a more quieter place. And being in America, a lot of Americans know, Canada is a quiet place. And I thought, why not? Try it. So just hopped right in and moved
here you are. Yeah. So let's switch a little bit to your career now. Now you're a nurse now. Can you tell us a little bit more about the nursing itself in Canada and some of the opportunities, if anyone is watching, whether from back home? What are some of the opportunities in nursing currently?
I would say, just like anywhere else, Canada is struggling a lot finding nurses. And not only finding, but retaining nurses.
Right.
So you find out, especially post-COVID, there has been such a big impact.
Right.
Because, nurses were at the forefront for about 3 years, and it just got tiring to be at the forefront fighting all the time with COVID. And a lot of nurses retired as a result.
Right.
And here in Canada, you find that previously, before COVID, a lot of nurses were staying in their jobs, but were really older, just because the workplace is conducive, they make good money, they didn't feel like retiring. But COVID hit, majority of them left. They retired. And so there was this huge gap in the nursing career, with nurses, and schools were not graduating as many nurses to fill those positions. And so up until now, we're still feeling that effect. That's one. Two, a lot of the younger nurses, they're coming into the workplace where, a lot of times it's short-staffed. We have more sicker patients in the hospital. So it's more challenging to work in at the moment. And they feel like, okay, well, I have other options. I'm young anyway. I can go try something else. So they don't stay. So retention is a big issue right now. However, it's a rewarding career. And there are still tons of opportunities for people who are looking to join the field. I would say you will not go wrong. Just jump into it, do it, and you're not going to go wrong with nursing.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So what about if somebody is watching us and they're internationally educated nurse? What are some of the pathways to either find a job in Canada or even migrate to Canada? Do you have any information on that one?
Yeah, so for internationally educated nurses, one of the avenues is coming to college here and doing what they call, it's almost like a transition program. In Canada, you have to be licensed. And Canadians like having people have the Canadian experience for good reasons sometimes. Because, in the profession, there's a lot of accountability, things of that nature. And so the best way to do it is to come to college. And usually, some colleges will have like the 1 year program that you go through as an internationally educated nurse. And you do that program, and it's just to bring you to speed with what Canadian healthcare system and how to practice here. Once you finish that, then it has a component of clinical practice. Once we finish that, you're eligible to write your licensing exam. When you pass, you get your license, and it's easy to find jobs after that.
Wow.
That's what I would say is the best way to migrate here.
To. Yeah.
As opposed to just coming blindly and not knowing what avenue or what path to take.
Okay. And in terms of jobs, though, and the career, I know you have talked a little bit about it. Is there any specific provinces that are actually focusing and hiring, or is all across anywhere you go you can find a job?
It's all across. It's this issue actually. It's countrywide. It's not just in one particular area you find jobs and the other one you don't. And particularly those provinces that don't have a high percentage of immigrants, for instance. Immigration really helps big cities where you tend to find a lot of, immigrants settling down and taking on their career paths. But provinces where you don't have a lot of that could really benefit from that because, they just don't have enough people to fill these vacancies.
These gaps,
right?
Yeah.
So, or even in big provinces or where you find a lot of immigrants settling down, look into those smaller cities or rural areas where people oftentimes don't want to go. There are more vacancies and opportunities for nursing as opposed to big cities. You will still find something, but you're more likely to find something faster in terms of nursing when you go to those. We often go to those small
areas.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about the salary, though, because all of us, we gotta pay the bills. In terms of the salaries and compensation, is there anything that you can educate us about it in terms of the pay and everything else?
Yeah. So here in Canada, hospitals are publicly funded, and which then means that salaries to pay nurses come from funding from the government.
Right.
And from my knowledge, at least where we are, this province, nurses are unionized, meaning that we have unions, that fight for labor, labor laws and all that kind of stuff, including wages.
Yes.
And so salaries tend to be quite attractive, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's good.
And because of that, sometimes because this money comes from the government, sometimes there tends to be a limitation to how much the government
can actually give,
can even hire.
Yeah.
Depending on the budget they have.
Right.
For the wages. So that's the only I don't want to say negative, but a little bit of a downside because right now there are needs, but if the government feels or a certain hospital feels, you can continue hiring or filling these vacancies because we don't have the budget to pay 100 nurses, for instance.
Right.
We can only take 70. Then if you happen to be the 71st or 80th, then you don't have a job.
Right.
And that's actually something that has been seen in Canada, where nurses sometimes go without work because of
the funding models.
The funding model.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, depending on the areas and where you are, though. But overall, if somebody is watching us from anywhere, based on your experience in Canada, I know you lived in the US before, though. Would you advise individuals to also come to Canada? Is it a land of an opportunity? I know there's struggles everywhere, but is this something that you will educate everyone to also take the chance or opportunity to move to Canada?
I would say, do your homework before you migrate here, and really research on areas that will give you work. Areas that the government in particular is in need of, because if you don't and come here blindly, you're going to struggle, right? As opposed to coming here with skills that are needed by the government, where you will easily find a work. So my take on that is please do your research, find out areas that where work is needed, skills are needed in this country.
Right.
And there are several of them, and that includes even trades. And look into how you can get, for instance, if it's schooling, to do, to get a certain skill. Because once you do that, you're setting yourself, you're putting yourself a little bit,
Right.
higher than
yeah.
somebody who is just migrating here blindly.
Right. Next question for you is, now you have been educated in the North America, including US and Canada. What is your plans for back home in Kenya? Is this something that you aspire to go back and help out, or what is your long-term plan?
Yeah, I would love to go back actually. I believe in the notion of giving back to
Right.
the society, communities that raised me, made me who I am.
Yes.
And so that is something that is always at the back of my mind. Even though I'm here contributing to this great society, I think at the end of the day, I want to take the skills I've gained and try to go and help out where I came from,
Right.
because they could benefit from what I've gained here, right? The knowledge that I've gained here. I think I could go there and contribute one way or another to improve things.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is gonna be my last question for you. You being in the professional, what would be your 3 advice for anyone watching us, or even a young person that wanna go into nursing? What would be 3 advice you would give them?
I think number 1, obviously, work hard.
Yeah.
Get good grades, because nursing school can be very competitive. And it's not only where you are, maybe, back home, even here, it's very competitive. Once you get good grades, it's easy to get into school. The next thing, when you graduate, go into it because you want to make a change. Just don't go to the field because you make good money, or it's this and that, because you will quickly realize you don't like the profession,
Right.
you hate it,
Right.
and you want to get out,
Right.
and there's nothing as bad as working in a profession that you don't enjoy going to work.
Yes.
So ensure it's something you really want to do at the bottom of your heart. And lastly, just know, it's something that once you gain it, you can use everywhere, right? So if you relocate to Canada and you become that nurse, you want to go to another place, relocate back home, you still have those skills. It's universal. You can apply it anywhere. True. You can help people here. You can help people back home. You can help people in any other foreign country.
Right.
So those are my 3 things I think I would say now at the top of my head.
For sure. I'm going to put you on the spot. US or Canada? Kenya or Ghana?
That's a tough one.
I don't think we're gonna do part 2. Maybe a part 2 interview you can answer.
I think to me, I look at them. Every country offers something.
Okay.
A plus and a minus.
Okay.
Right. So that's how I look at it. There's certain things I like about Canada. There's certain things I don't like.
Right.
Certain things I really liked about the US.
Yeah.
Certain things I didn't like.
Right.
Certain things I like about Kenya. And I wish they could be done differently.
Right.
And at the same time, it's my home.
Right.
I love it. And certain things, like I was talking with you, I would love to, visit Ghana and see how it is.
Right.
They are really lovely people. I met a lot of lovely people from Ghana.
Wow.
So, and I've heard really good things about Ghana.
Right.
So, it's that urge, I want to go and visit and see this great, amazing country.
Wow.
Right?
What a perfect answer. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so everywhere has a plus and minus. And for me, I try to look at the positives.
The positives, yeah.
Right, the
yeah.
positives of where I am, and hopefully run with that, as
Wow.
opposed to kind of focusing on the negatives.
I appreciate it, sister. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes,
And
thank
thank you
for
so
inviting
much.
me.
And everybody looking into any healthcare or nursing in particular, we'll give her information and you can contact her. Definitely, this is one of the best interviews that I've done. So, sister, thank you so much for your time.
Anytime. Thank you.